Most of the Judahite names have two parts, a theophoric beginning or ending with the name of the god, Yahweh, and it can be in 2 or 3 letters, Yah or Yahu, and beside it there is a verb. The order of the two parts has no much different meaning from the point of view of the meaning of the name, besides some grammatical emphasizing. So, for example, the name Jeremiah in Hebrew Yirmiyahu means Yahweh is exalted. And it can be also in a different order of the two parts. Yehoram, it means Yirmiyahu and Yehoram, the same meaning. The name, for example, Achaziyahu means Yahweh is held tight. And it can be also in different order of the two parts. Yehoachaz, it means Achaziyahu, Yehoachaz, the same name. Maybe Yehoachaz has a little bit more emphasis on the person, meaning Yahweh is held tight. As of the people that are of interest of our case, the meaning of the name Gedaliah, Gedaliahu, is Yahweh has proven himself to be great. It was a very popular name in Judah at the end of the First Temple period and afterwards, during the Persian period. Beside Gedaliah, that is at the focus of this unit, the son of Achikam, and the grandson of Shaphan, another Gedaliah is known as the grandfather of the prophet Zephaniah. You can read it in Zephaniah verse 1 in chapter 1. Another one with the same name was, according to Jeremiah 38 verse 1, one of the officials of the king Zedekiah. And later on, we know from Ezra chapter 10 verse 18 about Gedaliah that was one of the priests in the days of Ezra. The name is well known also in extra biblical sources, and for example, we know this name from ostraka, small pieces of clay written with ink on it. And these ostraka were discovered, for example, in Arad and in Chovat Uzzah, both of them in the Beersheba Arad valleys. The meaning of the name Achikam, the father of Gedaliah, is "my brother has arisen." It was also a very popular name at the end of the First Temple period, and it also existed as a name in Moab and also in the Aramaic. The person that we are dealing with, the father of Gedaliah and the son of Shaphan, is mentioned 3 times as a central figure in the Judahite administration, and he was very active in the court of the Jerusalemite kings from the time of Josiah until the time of Jehoiakim. Achikam, the son of Shaphan, had an important role in the reform enacted by King Josiah, and according to 2 Kings chapter 22 verses 12 to 14, he was a member of the delegation sent to the prophetess Huldah, together with Hilkiah the priest, Achbor, the son of Michaiah, and Shaphan, the scribe, who probably was his father. This same Achikam is the person that Jeremiah says that it was the one who protected the prophet from the people, evidence of his power and status, and I can read from Jeremiah 26, verse 24. אך יד אחיקם בן שפן הייתה את ירמיהו לבלתי תת אותו ביד העם להמיתו. This is the first sign of a kind of pro-Jeremiah policy in the family, which is also reflected in other places. The name Shaphan is part of a special family of names in Judah, especially at the end of the First Temple period. The meaning of the name Shaphan is a rock badger. An important prophetess at the same time was Huldah, meaning female rat or vole. Together with Shaphan, in the same delegation to Huldah, the name of another member was Achbor, meaning mouse. It was a well-known name in Hebrew, as well as in Aramean, Phoenician, and Ammonite, where even we have a female name, a female mouse, Agborit. One can also add to it Shual, fox, and ask why there are names of small mammals, why they were so popular during this time. Well, I think that dealing with fashions of names is not the subject of this course, and in any case, I will mention here other private names from that same period like Parosh, flea, or Chagav, locust, and asking you why, for example, names of big mammals that were and still common in modern Jewish names are better than these small mammals that can be treated as sweet, harmless, and even nice. Why, for example, Aryeh, lion, Ze'ev, wolf, Dov, bear, or even Yael, ibex, or Tzvi, gazelle, are better than Shaphan, Achbar, or even Huldah? Shaphan, the grandfather of Gedaliah, and the father of Achikam, was the scribe of King Josiah. We have one more additional genealogical detail that we know about Shaphan, because according to the second book of Kings, chapter 22, verse 3, the name of his father was Atzaliah, and his grandfather's name was Meshulam. However, there is no additional information about these two persons. Throughout the cult reform made by King Josiah and described very detailed in second book of Kings, chapter 22, Shaphan has a central role both in organizing the repairs in the temple, in reading the book of the law and bringing it to the king, and in the delegation that was sent to the prophetess Huldah. The family of Shaphan and Achikam is connected to four other persons who had senior standing in the kingdom of Judah. Elasah, the son of Shaphan and the brother of Achikam, is mentioned in Jeremiah 29, verse 3, as one of Zedekiah's two messengers to Nebuchadnezzar that were sent to Babylon and brought a letter from Jeremiah to the exiles. This is another aspect of the connection between the prophet and this family, and maybe also another side of their support of him. Gemariah, another son of Shaphan, is mentioned in Jeremiah 36, verse 10, as possessing a chamber in the upper court of the entrance of the new gate of Yahweh's house, the temple, where Baruch, the scribe of Jeremiah, read the words of Jeremiah to all the people. This is another aspect of the cooperation between the two sides. A scene impression reading, and I'm quoting, belonging to Gemariyahu, son of Shaphan, was discovered by Yigal Shiloh in the excavation at the city of David, bringing this Gemariyahu from the biblical scrolls to the material culture and to the real history. Michaiah, son of Gemariah, the son of Shaphan, is mentioned in Jeremiah 36, verses 10 to 13, as the one who told the officials the content of Jeremiah's words read by Baruch. And Yaazaniah, the son of Shaphan, is mentioned in Ezekiel 8, verse 11, as one of the 70 elders of the house of Israel whom the prophet saw in his vision. To this, the Israeli scholar Shmuel Yavin proposed already in 1960 to add two more names mentioned in stamp impression. Elishama, who appears on a stamp impression reading, I'm quoting, belonging to Elishama, son of Gedaliah, and Nehemiah, who appears on a stamp impression reading, belonging to Nehemiah, son of Michaiah. But this reconstruction is far from being certain. This family of Shaphan the scribe was attributed as a family with pro-Babylonian tendency and pro-Jeremian attitude on the basis of the status of the members of the family, the roles they played in the palace and government, and the activities attributed to them, particularly in the book of Jeremiah. These activities included saving Jeremiah from death at the hand of the people, delivering Jeremiah's message to Babylon, or in another case, deliver the substance of Jeremiah's message to the officials of the king, or giving the room in the chamber in the temple for Baruch the scribe to read the words of Jeremiah before all the people. However, in my opinion, there is no actual evidence that the members of this family were pro-Babylonian or anti-Egyptian. The actions attributed to them can indicate, at most, their intensive objection to the activist circles which hoped to receive Egyptian assistance to break the Babylonian yoke. Their policy was similar to that of Jeremiah, who at all times opposed activism in foreign policy and admonished the leaders of the small kingdom to submit before those whom the Lord had made rulers over the country. In light of this, it seems more accurate to define the ideology of the family of Shaphan the scribe as politically moderate and cautious, while very decisive and resolute in terms of domestic affairs. This may help to understand why Gedaliah from this family was chosen for his role by the Babylonians. Information about the status of the family of Shaphan the scribe and the ideology that characterized the family must be supplemented by the hypothesis regarding the important status and role of Gedaliah, who held a prominent position in Judean administration during the time of King Zedekiah. These hypotheses are based on a bulle from one of the unclear stratigraphical locations at Lachish. This bulle, a small piece of clay stamped with a seal, was published almost in parallel by Hooke and by Starkey already in 1935 and was preserved intact, reading, "Belonging to the Gedaliah who is over the royal house." The title, "Who is over the royal house," existed throughout the years of the Kingdom of Israel and also the Kingdom of Judah, probably as a title of the one who stood at the head of the king's officials, someone who was very, very close to the king. From the very beginning of the research, Gedaliah from the bulle discovered in Lachish was identified as Gedaliah the son of Achikam, and his status prior to the destruction was reconstructed as the chief of the king's officials. It was emphasized by scholars as one of the major considerations in his appointment by the Babylonians. Another bulla was discovered with the inscription, "Belonging to Gedaliah, the servant of the king." The meaning of this title in Judah was the most important person in the kingdom beside the king himself, the most close to the king. Scholars connected the two bulle as reflected the status of the same person. Nachman Avigat, for example, proposed that both bulle reflect the two different periods of time in Gedaliah's life. At first, he was one of the king's officials, and later he was appointed to the high-ranking position who is over the royal house. We should be very careful, however, with these kind of reconstructions, since there is no basis for the assumption that we are familiar with all of the office holders at that time. Avigat himself noted that this bulle might have belonged to Gedaliah the son of Pashhur, the one that we know from Jeremiah 38 verse 1. And there is an additional seal impression that mentioned another Gedaliah, reading, "Gedaliah belonging to Gedaliah the son of Hoshayahu." On the other hand, there is no contradiction between the titles "who is over the royal house" and "the servant of the king," and it's not necessary to assume any time discrepancies exist between the two bulle, even if they refer to the same official. Assuming that Gedaliah, who is over the royal house, is identical with Gedaliah the son of Achikam, the son of Shaphan, one can conclude that the Babylonians turned one of the senior office holders in the royal governing apparatus to the governor of the land in charge of the people who were left in the land. This appointment may have combined the interest of both parties. The Babylonians were appointing a person who had served in the highest ranking position in the royal administration, a man with history of a prudent, moderate policy in proven governing ability. Such a personality could rebuild the country very quickly, this is a clear Babylonian interest, reorganize the governing apparatus under Babylonian supervision, bring stability to the region, and at the same time maintain loyalty to the Babylonians. For Gedaliah, the interest was even more clear because he could rebuild his country and ensure the welfare of those who remained in the country. Apart from this, in turning him into the leader of the people who were left in the land, the justice of the policy that this family had supported all along was vindicated. In the next unit, I will focus on the role of Gedaliah as the governor of Judah and on his status, and will try to convince you that the Babylonians nominated him already during the siege on Jerusalem as part of the well-prepared plan to destroy Jerusalem and to remove the Davidic house from the throne.